So in today's video I thought we'd have a look at this particular padlock. Now this is an Ace padlock. I bought a bunch of padlocks recently from the Irish lock picker. This was one of them, and it turned up it's a really nice padlock, nice colour to it, and it seems to, yeah, it works well. Got a nice spring to it, nice shackle pop, and it's really quite a weighty padlock. In fact, it reminds me of this one here, which is the Lockwood 334B45. Same sort of size to it, and same weight. This is quite a weighty padlock, feels really substantial. This one's the same, so I was pleased to have it in my collection. Now when I picked it, it seemed to pick very easily. But it kind of felt like it was picking a little bit too easily, so I was wondering if we could have a look at what's inside it and see if there's any way we can improve the sort of stock pins that came with it. So I think the first thing to do is to give this a pick. So let's grab some tools, and I can show you what I mean about it just seeming to pick just a little bit too easily. So I'll put a fair bit of tension on and we'll see what we've got. So first pin's binding, that's the third pin, fourth pin, full set, fifth pin, and there's the second pin. There we go, and we got it open. So I don't know if you noticed there, all I picked, I only had to touch each pin once. We got a nice full set, but it was, yeah, it's a little bit too easy. So I think what I'll do is I'll crack this open, and then we can have a look inside and see what we've got. Right, so we've got them all stripped down. What we've got is, in fact, we've got a 6-pin core, so we've got 6 holes in the plug there. We've got 6 holes in the Bible. We only have 5 cuts on the key, as you can see there, and we only have 5 pin stacks inside. So, I mean, certainly we could see if we could populate that 6th chamber. And if we just have a look at these pins, so we've got the springs up the top, and then we've got these we've got one standard driver pin, and then we've got these ones here. Now these are really nice pins. So that's a spool pin, but hopefully you can see it. You've got some nice serrations top and bottom. They very much remind me of the American 1100 serrations on their spools. And these are really, really well made spool pins, but I didn't really feel any of those serrations come into effect. Now down the bottom we've got these key pins, and immediately I've noticed something rather odd about them. Let me grab one of them and I'll show you what I mean. Hopefully you can see it. Now if you look at the top and the bottom of this pin, we've got a slight chamfer on it. Now usually with a key pin, I think I've got one there. Yeah, I've got a sort of a normal key pin, if you like, there. So you can see it's got a nice rounded bottom on it and a flat top. Now it has the rounded bottom on it so that when you slide the key in, and this is bouncing up and down as it finds its place, it doesn't get snagged up on any of the key cuts, so that rounded bottom is important. The flat top is also important because your driver pin sits on top of that, and having a nice flat top like that gives us a very narrow area on the height of the overall pin stack for that shear line, for you to find that shear line. If we go back to this pin here, it's actually double-ended. There's no fully rounded part on the bottom, and in fact the top and the bottom both look exactly the same. You've just got that sort of bevel there. Now what that means as we go to pick it, if I drop this pin in, and I'm going to grab that other pin as well, just so I can demonstrate, hopefully, what I mean. So if we look at that pin there, this is that one in chamber 3 has got the flat top on it. Now in order to get this picked, I've got to lift it perfectly up to the shear line, which is just there. You know, if I'm too low, I'm not going to be able to pick it. If I'm too high, I'm not going to be able to pick it. It's got to be at the perfect height just there. But this one here, because we've got that bevel, pretty much at any point there all the way down to there, I can lift that pin and it'll automatically set because of that bevel. So with all of these key pins having that bevel on them, let's just get this one back where it belongs. It means that I've only got to lift up 5 of those pins close to the shear line, and they pretty much set themselves. And as you can see, when I picked this one, I only touched each pin once, and we got this set straight away. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a rummage in my spare pin box, which I've got just here. You can buy kits like this from various places. I got this one in England from South Coast Locksport Bits, which are on eBay. And I've also got various other sorts of pins and stuff that I've kind of accumulated over the years. So I hope that if I can replace all of these key pins here with ones that just have the flat tops, then I should be able to make this lock perhaps a little bit more hard to pick. So I've been having a bit of a rummage in my pinning kit, and what I've come up with is these pins here. Now I've managed to find a 6th pin, and that should, although we don't have a 6th cut on the pin, that pin there will just sit on this little slope just here, but it will need to be picked to get it open. So we've gone from a 5 pin to a 6 pin for one. And you can see that the pins that I've selected, these key pins here, they all have a flat top and a nice round bottom. And we all like a round bottom, don't we? Especially keys, they like a round bottom because that means that they can sort of slide and let the key in and out. So we've got that on all of these, and we've got, of course, the flat top, which means that each of those pins need to be picked to the correct height rather than around about the correct height as for these 5 pins down here. The other thing I've done is I have found this extra spring, which looks about the same colour and about the same size as the rest of these springs. As I said, I don't want to make this into a challenge lock. I just want to make it a little bit harder while keeping it pretty much stock, if you like. So what I'll do is I will go and assemble this, and then we can try and pick it. Oh, I thought the other thing as well I've done is I've just changed the key pins around. I've managed to find just a standard driver pin up the top. I've kept the 4 spools that were in the lock originally. And what I've done is I've put those 2 standards over the 2 longest drivers. That means that when you pair like a security pin, like a spool, with one of the shorter key pins, you've got longer for that pin to travel to get it up to the shear line, which means that more of the serrations and the spooled sections on those should come into play. So that should help us as well. So let me get all of this in the lock, and we'll see how easy it is to get them picked. Okay, so we've got them all assembled now, so now it is time to give them a test pick. So I'm going to grab the same tools that we had in the beginning, and we'll see what it takes to get them open now. So that was a 3 and 4 binding, which was our standard pins, if you remember. So now we've dropped into a full set. That's 1 counter rotation. I think I've dropped something already. So we've got our full set back. I think that was pin number 4. So we're looking for another spool that will give us some counter rotation. I think that was 6. That was 6 again, so I think that was the serration actually coming into play, which was nice. I think that's 2, and we got this one open. So we haven't made this, it's not a challenge lock as I mentioned, we certainly made it a little bit more interesting to pick. As you remember, when I first picked it, I pretty much just picked each pin once and we got it open. In this configuration, Certainly the serrations came into play. I think I felt it on that 5th or 6th pin. And it was a bit more fun to pick because we dropped some pins. So yeah, not ridiculously hard to pick, but just a little bit more enjoyable. So yeah, nice lesson that. And I think that swapping out those key pins, making it into a 6-pin lock, and just rearranging those driver pins certainly helped this one along. So this one will go back into my collection, and yeah, be fun to pick in the future. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.